Have you ever wondered how someone would treat you if they thought you had nothing? Not your money, not your status, not your success, just you. What happened to one millionaire CEO and his twin children on a simple blind date would change their lives forever. The lesson they learned that day wasn't about wealth. It was about kindness, and it came from the last person they expected. Before we begin, welcome to Kindness Moments. If you love heartwarming stories that restore your faith in humanity, please subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. Your support helps us spread more kindness around the world. Michael Harrison was one of the most successful CEOs in Chicago. At just 40 years old, he owned a thriving technology company worth millions. He lived in a beautiful home, drove luxury cars, and could afford almost anything he wanted. But despite all his success, Michael felt something was missing. 3 years earlier, he had lost his wife to illness. Since then, he had devoted his life to raising his 8-year-old twins, Emma and Ethan. The children were his entire world. His sister often encouraged him to start dating again. One day, she arranged a blind date with a woman named Sarah. "Just give it a chance," she said. Michael agreed, but he had an unusual idea. Over the years, he had met people who seemed more interested in his money than his character. This time, he wanted someone to see the real him. So he left his expensive watch at home, wore old jeans and a faded jacket, and borrowed an aging pickup truck from a friend. To make things even more interesting, he brought Emma and Ethan with him. The twins loved the adventure. They arrived at a small family diner where Sarah was already waiting. Michael immediately noticed her warm smile. She wasn't dressed extravagantly. She looked simple, confident, and kind. As they sat down, Michael explained that he worked odd jobs and was currently struggling financially. He watched carefully for her reaction. There was none. Sarah simply smiled and asked about the twins. For the next hour, she talked more with Emma and Ethan than with Michael. She listened to their stories, laughed at their jokes, and treated them like they mattered. The twins quickly became comfortable around her. When lunch ended, Michael excused himself to use the restroom. As he returned, he overheard something unexpected. Emma had accidentally knocked over her milk, spilling it across the table and onto Sarah's clothes. The little girl looked terrified. "I'm so sorry," Emma whispered, her eyes filling with tears. Many people would have been annoyed. Some might have become angry. But Sarah did something remarkable. She gently wiped the tears from Emma's cheeks and said, "Sweetheart, accidents happen. A shirt can be washed. Your feelings are much more important." Then she hugged the little girl. Michael froze. He watched his daughter instantly relax. That simple act of kindness touched him more deeply than he could explain. A few minutes later, the waitress brought the bill. Without hesitation, Sarah quietly paid for everyone's meal. Michael protested. "You really don't have to do that." Sarah smiled. "You mention things are difficult right now. Besides, kindness isn't something you calculate. You just give it when you can." Her words stayed with him. After lunch, they walked outside. Near the parking lot, they noticed an elderly homeless man sitting alone. Without drawing attention to herself, Sarah walked over and handed him the boxed leftovers from her meal. Then she sat beside him for several minutes, talking as if he were an old friend. She treated him with dignity. She treated him like a human being. Michael felt humbled. For years, he had donated money to charities. Yet this woman was giving something many people rarely offer: time, respect, and genuine compassion. As the sun began to set, Michael knew he couldn't keep pretending. He took a deep breath and told Sarah the truth. He explained who he really was. He told her about his company, his wealth, and why he had chosen to appear broke. For a moment, Sarah simply stared at him. Then she laughed. Michael became nervous. "Weren't you upset that I lied?" he asked. Sarah smiled warmly. Honestly, I wasn't interested in your bank account before, and I'm not interested in it now. She looked toward the twins. I was paying attention to something much more valuable. What was that? Michael asked. The way you love your children. At that moment, Michael felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Peace. Someone had finally seen beyond the titles, the money, and the success. She saw his heart. Over the following months, Michael and Sarah continued spending time together. More importantly, Sarah became a trusted friend to Emma and Ethan. Her kindness brought healing to a family that had been carrying quiet sadness for years. And Michael learned one of the greatest lessons of his life. The richest people aren't always the ones with the most money. Sometimes, the richest people are those whose hearts are filled with kindness. So the next time you meet someone, remember this story. You never know what battles they're fighting or what burdens they're carrying. A kind word, a patient response, or a simple act of compassion can change someone's day, or even their life. Thank you for watching Kindness Moments. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs a little inspiration today. And remember, kindness costs nothing, but its value is priceless.